So I'm going to try to explain and point you in the direction that spirituality is a trap. I made a video about spirituality being a trap, but I didn't fully understand how deep the trap of spirituality actually goes. If I had to say, the one way to go to break through here, I would I would present you a coin, right? I would present you a coin. Let's pretend like it's a chocolate coin. Now, on that piece of chocolate, one side of it's spirituality, the other side of it is nihilism, and it trapped up in love. Do you see what I'm saying? So, if you're watching these videos, more than likely you agree with me on a lot of things I say, which means I can prove to you, not prove to you because it's open for interpretation, obviously, but I could explain to you and point you in a direction that religion is a trap, a huge one, and 95% of it's empty and hollow. I could do the same thing with science to you, and you would probably agree with me and see through it and be like, oh, okay. The one that's the hardest for people that's probably watching these videos to see through is spirituality, because there's multiple forms of it depending on who you're talking to. This falls in with spirituality. So what I'm telling you is you need to deconstruct that. So let's go back to the nihilism on the opposite side of spirituality, wrapped up in love. I don't think you realize, when you're deconstructing reality, which is what you have to do, you have to deconstruct reality. You can't deconstruct religion and then stop. You can't deconstruct science and stop. You can't deconstruct. And when I say science, listen, obviously, I don't need to go into detail about this, but I'm a firm believer in science. I'm just not a firm believer in what science has become and the claims they make that, again, there's no evidence to back up. That's really my issue with science. I mean, you can add anything else in here, and I can get you to this point, but the hump to get over is spirituality, because people feel safe there. They don't feel the need to deconstruct spirituality itself, so they keep it there, not realizing that's 95% hollow too. There's useful information in spirituality, but when it comes to you have to be a vegan, and you have to do yoga, and you have to meditate, which I would suggest you meditate and do yoga. No second. Like, I'm not speaking against that. I would absolutely recommend you do that daily. But crystals and star seeds and straight edge and listen, I'm not saying to do drugs either, but if you're talking to a spiritual person and you tell them that you've came to this conclusion and use psychedelics as part of an example of the complete picture, even though it's just a small part of it, then watch how they react. Not all of them, but watch how the strict spiritual, the ones that claim they've killed their ego, not even realizing what an ego is, not and why they still have a giant overinflated ego. It's funny, it's humorous to talk to these people, really. And don't take this as me, like, I'm not making fun or judging anyone, because I understand the game. I understand how the game works, and to fully see through this is really what I'm getting to, is you have to deconstruct everything. You need to deconstruct reality. And when I say reality, I mean complete and total reality. You can't stop at spirituality. And once you've deconstructed all this only leaves you with one truth, the truth. Again, you have been told the truth. You've been shown the truth. The truth has been provided to you. You just do not want to accept it, because in accepting the truth, you would have to die. And I don't mean you would literally die. I do not, please be very cautious with this, because I'm not saying you're going to die. I'm just saying, to accept what the truth actually is, you will realize you're not really Blake Ratliff. Like, fully realize that. Not just, and again, this is just an example for me. Fully realize that So the overinflation of the ego, you will be very, 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 you will accept deconstructing the overinflation, which you should. But then when it comes to what the ego actually is, to admit the truth means you would accept death at that point. You just really have to know what death means. You really just have to know what death means. And death does not mean the end of life. Death does not mean you will not be having images in your field of consciousness. You need to really think about this. Because, and when you're thinking about this, remember that everything that you thought was bad turned out to be the best thing ever, correct? So, and the ego is not a bad thing either. Don't let me say this to make you think ego is a bad thing. You just really have to know what an ego is. And you just really have to know what death means. So, Blake Ratliff will no longer exist. You will still be here. But Blake Ratliff will no longer exist because you will fully accept and admit that you're not Blake Ratliff. Like, fully admit and accept this. Because once you have deconstructed this completely, which you already have, you just won't accept it, what do you end up with? What do you end up with? You end up in an illusion of your own creation. You end up realizing you are playing a character. And you end up realizing that you are the truth. You. This is the issue we're running into, brother, is you saw through the illusion completely. You saw through it. But you don't want to accept it and admit it fully, what you're talking about. Like you keep on holding on to something in the back of your mind that is not. You just got to accept the truth. And the best way to do this, again, and this is how we got to this point right here, whether you realize it or want to admit it or not, is nihilism. With a capital spelled out nihilism, underlined 3 times, 3 exclamation points beside of it. So, if you feel comfortable in spirituality, really question why. And question why you won't deconstruct that even further. And then question why, when you come to the truth fully, why you won't accept that. You only get left with one thing. What have you got left with when you do this? What were you left with completely? I mean completely. Once you actually fully accepted it and admitted it for a brief time, and you've had all the information. I don't even want to say information. You've saw it. You felt it. You've known it. Why do you keep trying to deny it and going further down rabbit holes? It's like, listen, I'm telling you right now, you're not a turtle, you're the turtle. And you're too busy, instead of sitting here and just like being in awe of this turtle, you're too busy chasing rabbits. And you don't realize these rabbits never end up to the turtle because they cannot. They keep chasing the turtle. So when you're chasing rabbits, you're chasing your tail. And when you're chasing your tail, you're not standing still. And if you're not standing still, you're not accepting the truth. And there's no more clear, definitive way I can put this to you, explain this to you, or point a finger towards you. Because all these fingers, when you have deconstructed this completely, the finger can only point in one direction. This is something you have to accept and admit. So when you can no longer point a finger to all these things, especially spirituality and God, You know, let's point a finger. God's somewhere outside of here. Something bigger. You just don't. You need to fully understand this stuff, is what you need to do. And what happens when you've deconstructed all that? What are you left pointing a finger at? What's the only thing you can point a finger at? Because there's only one thing. And what's that one thing? And what's the thing you can point the finger at if you've deconstructed the rest of it, including other people? Like, please understand this. There are no other people. I can't be more clear about that either. There are no other people. So then, where does the finger end up getting pointed? Where's the only place the finger can get pointed? It is a game of form and the play of life. I am you talking to you. I have always been you talking to you. I will always be you talking to you. Because that's all there is. I love you. I love you. There's a door. Walk through it. You can wake up when you're ready to wake up. But you can't wake up if you're lying to yourself and keeping on chasing rabbits.